Hi everyone, today we'll be discussing our final set of notes for Unit 3. Today we'll be talking about function notation. So we've already seen this a little bit. So function notation is just this. We read this as f of x. This part here represents your x value, your independent variable. And then the entire thing represents y, your dependent variable. So our x values here, and then the whole thing, the f of x, represents y. All right, so determining inputs and outputs. So when we see f of a number, we plug in that number for the x value. If we see f of x, then we plug in a number for the y value. So let's just take a look at a couple examples. So here we have f of -3. And what this is really saying is, what is the value of the function when x is -3? So I'm going to just type that in. So whenever you see something that looks like this is what it's asking. What is the value of the function when x is -3? So we're going to come over here and we're going to take that -3 and we're going to substitute it in for x because we want to figure out what is the value of this whole function when x is -3. So I'm going to start with my substitution. So I'm going to write f of -3 is equal to -3 squared plus 4. Don't forget to put this into parentheses, because when you go to put it into your calculator, it's going to come out wrong. All right, and so if we were to show all of our work, we would say, okay, -3 squared is 9, and then 9 plus 4 is 13. And so now the value of the function when x is -3 is 13. And that's our answer. Okay, now I want you to come down here and I want you to try this one here on your own. Okay, go ahead and pause the video now. Okay, let's try our next example. All right, find x when f of x equals 5 for the following function. So this one here is saying, so remember we said f of x just means y. This one here is saying that y equals 5. So that's what they're doing here. This particular one says y equals 5. They're saying find x. We need to figure out what does x equal. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take that 5 and we're going to substitute it in for that f of x, or for the y. Now I have an equation to solve. How do we solve this? Well, we add 6 to both sides. And when we do that, that cancels those out. And we're left with 11 equals 2x. Now I can divide both sides by 2, which then cancels out these 2's. And then we're left with x equals 5.5. And then we'd circle our answer. All right, let's go on to the next page. All right, and I want you to try this one here on your own. Go ahead and pause the video now. All right, now let's take a look at what happens when we have a graph. All right, so we're going to use this graph to answer the following two problems. So again, here they're giving us the x value. Okay? So what we're saying here is when we know what x is, we know x equals 5, we want to know what does y equal. Think of it as an ordered pair. All right, we've got 5, but we don't know what that y value is yet. That's what we need to find. Okay, so we need to find a point on this graph that has an x value of 5, and we want to know what's the y value. So I should say not 5. Sorry about that. Those should all be -5's. Okay, so I'm going to come over here to my graph. And I'm going to go to -5 on the x, which is right here. Now I need to find a point on this graph, right, this graphed line, that has an x value of -5. So in this case, I have to go up to get to my line. There's the point right there with an x value of -5. What is its y value? It's 1. So in this case, y equals 1. All right, well, let's take a look at this one here. So remember again, this one, if we see f of x, that's really just saying y equals 6. Okay. So we know what our y equals, we need to find x. So again, if we're thinking in terms of an ordered pair, we don't know what the x value is, but we know that the y value is 6. So to find that point on my graph, I'm going to go to my y-axis since that's the value I know. And I'm going to go up to 6, and right away I land right on my graph line. So there's my point. What is the x value? Well, in this case, because it's right on the y-axis, my x value is 0. All right, I want you to try these next two on your own. Go ahead and pause the video now. Okay, let's go to the next page. All right, last part. Now, we're just going to make things a little trickier. So same thing that we did at the very beginning. Okay. They want us to find the value of the function when x is x minus 1. So we're not going to actually get down to a whole solution here. We're just going to do some simplifying. All right, so we're going to take this and we're going to substitute it in for x. All right. So here we have f of x minus 1, okay, because we replace that x with the x minus 1, equals -3, and then I replace this x with the x minus 1, plus 12. All of my work is going to happen here on the right side. Okay? This is just that function notation. Everything else that we're doing is over here. So to drop those parentheses, remember we have to distribute, so we get -3x, and then -3 times a -1 is a +3. All right, next step is now we can combine our like terms. So we get 3x plus, or we get the 3 plus 12 gives us 15. I can't combine any more like terms. Even though we have an equal sign, people think they should be solving. We're not actually solving anything. This is just saying that this is just our function notation. Okay, that's all this is. It's our function notation. There's nothing more we can do. We're done. All right. So last problem, I want you guys to try this one on your own. Remember, when you're given something like this with multiple terms, you're just simplifying that right side. All right. At this point, this is the end of our video, so you can stop the video now and make sure all your try on your owns are complete. I'll see you in class next time.